Charles, we're going to be discussing an old fool today.
This show isn't about me, is it?
No. You're not old and you're far from a fool, but we're talking about the president of stupid, President Dumb Joe Biden.
I, for the life of me, I don't understand, or maybe I should understand, why he would turn down the cameo to go to B-Rock's birthday party.
Isn't that weird?
Which was really scaled down, I saw from the video. I mean, it was scaled down from, one of those Hollywood movies in the 30s about ancient Rome or whatever, but it was absurd, over the top.
I actually realized that Obama might be smarter than we think. If you're planning a big party, there's always, when I was a kid, there's always like, you have to invite this person who would be rude. And you're like, I don't want them at my birthday party. You could just say, oh, we're scaling it back. You're no longer invited.
Right, but Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States, I mean, whatever Secret Service protection is required for Obama, which I guess is probably pretty robust, given the number of crazies in our country and around the world. They have that mostly covered if Biden had decided to attend, assuming he was invited. And what better thing did he have to do? I mean, I know offense to people living in Delaware. I'm sure there are many nice places in Delaware. But if I had to tick off American beaches that are fantastic, a list off the top of my head, I don't think Delaware would make the top 10.
But isn't Obama supposed to be like one of his best friends or something? Why wouldn't he go to his historic birthday party?
I think, Hunter is the smartest guy he knows, which kind of may have ticked off by Obama, right?
Oh, sorry. Maybe Barack wasn't smoking enough crack to make the list.
But I don't understand anything really that Biden does.
I saw, he said when he was vice president under Trump, Freudian slip. I mean, Obama. That's not a Freudian slip. That's just, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I know. It's like, I was actually watching that film last night, a bit of it again, Coming to America.
And the new one or the original?
The original one. It was on, I don't know, one of the cable channels. And I love those scenes, the fake scenes in the Harlem barbershop.
Yeah.
Where Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall play a lot of the same characters, but different. Like, I think one of them, Eddie Murphy, plays an old Jewish guy.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. But the crazy ass talk that comes out of that movie is worthy of a Nobel Prize or a Pulitzer Prize compared to what's coming out of the word salads coming out of the mouths of Joe Biden and now Kamala Harris.
What did she say?
Well, she said recently that the reason she's unpopular is because people don't understand the depth of her thinking.
Well, let me ask you a question. From a marketing standpoint, if the issue is unpopularity, aren't you supposed to not lead with that? Like, don't admit that?
Exactly. Or how about the thing that leaked out? It was actually covered pretty well on Jesse Waters last night. I happened to flip through channels last night going from actually Crazy Rich Asians again.
Your favorite.
I like some of the opening and closing scenes in there. But anyway.
Is she in that?
Not yet.
You should be.
She probably financed it. But anyway, back on
Crazy Rich Asians.
No, the other. What was the other movie I was talking
Kamala
about?
Harris.
Yeah. So Waters was talking about with some guest about how Donna Brazile and a bunch of other people who are close to Hillary Clinton. You remember Donna gave Hillary Clinton the debate questions.
Right.
Though she was chair of the Democratic Party or whatever she was in 2016, and even with that, Hillary couldn't do a good job in the debate. But anyway, they all have a dinner, all these high and mighty Democrat ladies, in theory bemoaning the fact that Kamala is so unpopular and decrying it as sexism. And then they leak, two separate participants in the dinner, leaked the fact that they had this dinner to Axios, which is politically, it's pro-globalist, anti-nationalist crap, frankly.
Yeah.
It's a sewer. They leaked this story, and the gist of it is the participants have experience making unpopular people more likable. Like, I don't think that works so well with Hillary. I just don't think so. I mean, they know how to be unpopular. They know how to work for a deeply unpopular person.
Right.
but they don't know how to keep those deeply unpopular people in power, because Hillary is not in power. Thank Lucifer and God. But gosh almighty.
There was a little bit of confusion earlier, like sort of last week, Charles. You know, we had our First Amendment Forum episode,
Right.
which a lot of people watched and enjoyed. You know, that went out on Subscribestar and Patreon, but I think people might have misunderstood what we were doing with that, Charles. It's not, and we said this, but people were more focused on sending me nasty comments than listening to what was actually said. That was a one-off. We may choose to do it again, but for sponsors who are already with me on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, they got to enjoy that along with all the other great shows that are on there. But the purpose of doing that was so that you could speak about topics that we would be canceled on YouTube for.
So that we both could, actually.
So we both could, of course, but you had expressed personal frustration with not being able to talk about whatever we wanted on YouTube, and we had that platform as an option. So I was disappointed by some of the people who sent complaints, you know, oh, how can you put Charles behind a paywall? And my first presumption when I see something like that is that it's got to be coming from a social engineer, because somebody who actually supports the show, even if they don't want to pay $5 a month, they would recognize that it costs me money. I need, you know, AT&T SIM chips to do this walking around.
Does
I need
food cost money?
Phones, food.
Are you paying your utility bill?
All of that stuff. So people send me these emails and they leave YouTube comments getting angry about the fact that I'm not working all the time and providing the benefit to them for free. But there's many more people who are generous sponsors who keep the show going. But we're back here on Sunday. Nice car.
And, and nice stores. I mean, these guys, I'm sure DeCrazio, look at that car.
That's a Lamborghini.
I'm sure DeCrazio and what's left of Governor Groppo are.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about him.
When they say New York is back, they mean it's because these people
stolen goods.
You know, they're able to launder dirty money really quickly. I mean, you can get a genuine counterfeit Gucci bag here without paying the sales tax.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, you know, these are luxury brands, so some people have this attitude that, like, since it's rich people making them and making the companies, that they should be stolen from. Oh, this is Noah's Ark. Wait, that's interesting, Charles. What do you think of that? Where are the elephants?
Nice leather smell here. More of these.
Right. See, but the problem with buying counterfeit goods like this is that if those companies are so undermined by people stealing their intellectual property and making money from it when they don't.
Is that a genuine pothole? That's why we need $1 trillion in spending to make those sinkholes bigger, right?
Exactly. Let's just talk about this for a second, Charles, because this is similar to the people who want all the videos on Crowdsource the Truth to be free.
Right.
People obviously like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, or they wouldn't be looking at that stuff. And without those companies, you'd never have that stuff. So if you want to undermine their efforts by buying counterfeit versions, or in my case, making publicly disparaging comments about trying to earn a living, it's going to eventually make those brands go away, and you're actually working against your own best interest.
And here's a police car right here doing absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're too busy, you know, doing something right. These things have flourished during the pandemic.
Right. That's why DeCrazio and Groppo are saying New York City's back. It's because of this. This probably explains the $900,000 job, 900,000 job print. They're counting these people.
All these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're right. They're not paying tax. They're not paying sales tax. It undermines everything every honest business is trying to do.
Yeah. Every honest business that's left.
Which is not too many.
So we jumped too quickly past the poster that the art department did a great job with. That was a fantastic poster. I wonder how many posters at this point you've done. Not counting our shows alone, it's probably close to 400 by this point.
Oh yeah, it's quite a few. A little radio interference happening right now, but hopefully it won't.
Yeah, generally around here, this is where we do get hit. And there is that cop car and another one further up the street. Maybe there's a parade going on. Another one across the street. So,
Yeah. Well, we always run into all kinds of interference. But so Barack Obama did not really scale back his party that much. There was, I wonder if Weed World was invited to the Barack Obama party.
but to me, to have these kooks running around and say the problem with America is that today it's systematically racist, as Barack Obama parties till the wee hours, the $12 million Martha's Vineyard mansion, one of 4 that I believe he owns.
Amazing.
One in Chicago, one in Washington, and I think one in Hawaii is owned either directly or through a friend, or maybe through his foundation.
He didn't build that.
He didn't build that, and he certainly, I mean, he left the White House in better shape than Bill Clinton did, which is not saying much because Bill Clinton, when
The
he left,
furniture was still there.
well, Bill Clinton claims that he was $10 million in debt, and Hillary says, we were broke when we left the White House.
Right.
And Hillary, though, had been on the board of Walmart. She'd been a partner in a prominent law firm, in quotes prominent, in Little Rock called the Rose Law Firm.
Right.
And so she'd been scamming money. She wrote that book, It Takes a Pillage. It Takes a Village or whatever. She made money off that. But how the hell did Barack Obama amass all of this money?
The book. 65 million.
Well, you pay income taxes on that, right?
Nah.
No, you do.
Nah.
Actually, you do. And beyond that, there's living costs and just the cost of keeping a $12 million mansion in sea air on the water in Martha's Vineyard, where it's not like you can bring in cut rate help from some.
Just even the party had to cost several $100,000.
In a location like that, a major problem you have is there are always rich people who are richer than you are. And so if you want on a key night, last night, you want to get the top caterer involved or whatever, you're competing against other people. And it's very difficult to find help to actually work at these parties. So, the cost of that party alone, now maybe somebody paid it, George Soros paid for it, or somebody else paid for it, or sponsors of Beyond Meat paid for it, or whatever else, is not cheap. And then you have to maintain the 3 other mansions, all of which have property taxes, all of which have...
Why do you, sorry to interrupt, but why do you think the police are blocking off all these streets?
There's probably a parade.
You?
Yeah.
Is there a parade happening or something? Jamaican Day Parade. Jamaican Day Parade. The Jamaican Day Parade.
That's good. That's important. Speaking of that, I believe Kamala Harris's father was put on what's called the honors list, which, forgetting either Sir or some other thing. Jamaica is, I believe, independent now, but he was being honored for...
By Jamaica?
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't have the best of relationships with Kamala.
There's a whole interesting story about the death of Bob Marley and how he was politically active in Jamaica. I think there's a lot that I don't know about that.
I know nothing about Jamaica. Never been there.
Well, Charles, good news. People who don't like YouTube and its suppression of our First Amendment rights can watch on rumble.com/user/CS-the-truth. That's working.
And this is going out over the new channel, right? Crowdsource.
Oh, yes, right. Crowdsource the Truth 6 should be active. Let me check if that's working. I have to keep creating new YouTube channels because there are vexatious individuals out there in the world who just spend all their time, well, not all their time, a good amount of their time is spent writing lawsuits, but in their free time they're striking my YouTube videos.
Does YouTube yet have the ability to take a broadcast that's done in one language and automatically translate it to another language?
It's a good question. I don't think so, but it is probably not far off, to tell you the truth. And then the other thing that people can watch us on is Odyssey.com. That's another free alternative.
Cool.
And a good way for people to stay up on the videos that we're doing. So
Oh, look.
just
Wasn't
what was
this was
TGI Fridays? That's been
Yeah.
out for a little while,
Has
actually.
it?
But back on the Obama party, Charles, see, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is hypocrisy. And of course it is. But even more than that, you know, I think it's generally understood and accepted that the security for the president or former president of the United States, we sort of accept the fact that those guys who are conducting that security, they know more about what's going on than we do, and they take certain security measures.
I wouldn't necessarily conclude that. But
Well, in other words, they might.
Yeah.
We hold that
right.
hope. And that we don't necessarily need to know every detail, because I think people basically accept that revealing that could compromise security. What I'm getting at is, if this was truly a danger
Right.
to former President Barack Obama to be hanging around that many people, what the hell is that?
What?
Wouldn't the Secret Service not allow him to do it?
What the hell is what, Jason?
See this white thing here with the
Oh,
X's on its eyes?
yeah. I wanted to go by Trump. Though.
Okay, sorry, we will. I just wanted to look at that thing. Doesn't that strike you as odd?
It does. So, yeah, the question of having such an opulent party at a time when so many people are suffering, to claim that you've scaled it back. The video of Barack Obama dancing, you know, I'm not somebody who's a prude about anything, but I think as you age, you probably shouldn't behave like a teenager on your 60th birthday.
He's not a very good dancer either.
I'm amazed actually, because he was supposed to be so smooth and stylish and this and that, and I won't say what I'm thinking, but he absolutely did not appear to be. He wasn't going to win any dance competitions. Let's put it that
Does
way.
not have the moves like Jagger.
Like Jagger, right? Or let alone like Michael Jackson.
Well, definitely not that.
No moonwalk there. That was a goon walk. But sorry.
So the other thing I saw was that apparently Nancy Pelosi was in
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard. So what's that about? She just figured get over there and get to the hotel while her people are negotiating to try to get her an invitation that never came?
Well, she claims that she was invited by somebody else to go to a dinner in her honor tonight on the Vineyard.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that for a minute.
She was trying to get into the Obama party and not wanting to admit that she wasn't invited.
I would rather listen to Richard Simmons ranting and raving in an airport lounge for 6 hours, and I don't want to do that, than spend 1 second with Nancy Pelosi, the Wicked Witch of the West. The Wicked, Crooked Witch of the West.
I worked with Richard Simmons one day.
Oh, yeah?
He was very friendly to me.
Oh, that.
He bought lunch.
Really?
No, he was totally professional. He had, at the time, a gigantic pinky ring, which was a pink diamond that he told me was the diamond that Joe DiMaggio had bought for Marilyn Monroe.
I think he did one of his craziest things. Was he was a guest on either with O'Reilly or with Hannity, I forget which, and he literally got out of his seat and climbed up on the desk. Must have been O'Reilly, and he was just flirting with him, and he wouldn't leave the desk. It was hilarious, actually.
I think something happened to his health, right? We haven't seen too much of
Yeah.
Richard Simmons lately.
Yeah, we have seen, sad to say, for a city that's come back, we see a lot of beggars and a lot of sad stories,
Yeah. The
a
homeless.
lot of filth, a lot of garbage, and not many paying customers, right? I mean, this is the time of year normally when you have a lot of foreign visitors come to the city. A lot of New Yorkers flee the city if they can to go to their weekend homes or just to get out of here.
How do you feel about the mix today versus previous days of those wearing masks?
Very few people.
Not wearing masks.
Very few people are wearing masks. And actually, I got a new feature on my phone, or I tapped a feature on my phone that I've been ignoring about the weather. And now, to figure out what we were going to do today, we're just pretending that it isn't raining. But the thing has a tells you how many tells you how many COVID cases, new COVID cases today in New York, and how many deaths. And the answer was 4,500 cases today new, 12 deaths. Now this city is about, what would you say? Is it
9 million people?
Yeah, that's not a lot of new cases. My way of thinking.
Well, but compared to last week, or
they didn't give me a comparison. But my point is just to say, right now, if you were to say how many people have pneumonia, new cases of pneumonia in a city of 9 million, I don't know what that number is, but it could be in the thousands.
Well, how about checking everybody who comes into the restaurant for diphtheria or smallpox
or stupidity,
Ebola?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I don't have a smallpox vaccine, Charles. I could be a danger. Exactly. The other thing is, I mean, again, this is part of the reason why we're trying to reserve certain conversations for the First Amendment Forum on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsource. So I don't want to go too far into the realm of stuff we're going to get struck for, because the other great idea that people have, Charles, is to say, oh, we'll just put it out on BitChute and Rumble and Odyssey, because there's a lot of people out there who have wonderful ideas for how I can spend my time and earn no money. They don't seem to understand that I can't do that.
Oh, would that include that for the first time I listened to an interview, because it was linked on Rantingly, which is a great site, Rantingly, with Cori Bush. Now, she's the complete certifiable bonehead. I mean, she's really...
Wants to defund the police and use the money to hire her own security?
Yeah, and she was on with Dana Bash on CNN. And Dana Bash, to her credit, was asking some very, very tough questions that Cori Bush refused to answer. Her answer to everything was, I know there'll be naysayers, I won't do her accent, I know there'll be naysayers, but I need to be in Washington, D.C., I need to be fighting, and that's what I'm doing. And on and on and on. And I'm fighting for the people, I'm fighting for George Floyd, I'm fighting for this, I'm fighting for that. And she didn't say this, but I'm not going to fucking answer your question. And this idea that because I'm fighting for some cause, I should be able to break every law that I want to break is a Clintonian ideal. I mean, that's the essence of Clintonism. Okay. Yeah, it was another group.
Very Clintonian response.
Yeah, but it's a Clintonian ideal. It's like we're going to decide that what we're fighting for. And indeed, I've started to read his book, and I think his My Life book.
Oh.
And I think Obama got his I-itis from Bill. I was trained at Horace Mann anyway, that ideally you don't begin every paragraph in a long memo with the word I. You try not to have the word I in something written, because you're the writer.
It's implied that it's you, right.
So his is just like a travel log, day by day. I did this, I did that, I did this, then I did that, and then I did this. But it's revealing. He talks at the end when he's talking about what he regrets.
What is this person driving forward for with the finger, Charles? He's encroaching on me and pointing that he's making. I know you're making a right, but people are walking. Wait until we're through the crosswalk.
Right, and he's from New Jersey, so he probably doesn't know.
You're not allowed to make a right on red.
I wonder, is Trump here? Because that's this poor guy here is crazy. Sitting there.
Do they have increased security?
What? That's
that guy there?
Yeah, that guy who was yelling to you, yeah. But those concrete things are new, right? Those are not generally there? Well, they absolutely were not there the last time I came by here, I don't think.
They've definitely been changing the nature of the security in front of the building here.
But back on Cori Bush, so she's answering these questions, and if you see the clip, which I think is still up there, she's deflecting the questions, and Dana Bash is rolling her eyes and interrupting her.
She's very polite.
Well, she's saying, I'm having none of this. You're running out the clock here. You're not answering the question, and that's what they all do. And that's what Bill's a master at that.
Absolutely.
when he, if you'll remember, when he finally had to address the Monica Lewinsky thing, he comes out and I want you to listen to me.
Bill said that?
Yeah, I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this one time. You know, and then...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right?
I did not have sex with that woman. Hang on one second.
Yeah. Hey, we could go over here and check out.
Just speaking very loudly on the phone, smoking a cigarette, spitting in the street. Well, they definitely didn't have the special tactics unit or the whatever it's called the last time we were here, and they're there now. Oh, but it's probably because the parade is coming by today.
I just don't recall there being that many cement barriers the last time I was here. It could be my...
I don't think they had these metal things the last
This
time.
I think is for the parade.
Yeah.
But the cement across the street and the planters.
Yeah, you're right. Trump Tower, Charles.
There it is. Yeah, he's the landlord to Gucci, their main store there, so he must be pissed that his tenant is having a tough time with their business. You want a Gucci teddy bear? See that over there?
Do they have such a thing?
In the window? Over to the right?
Oh yeah, I see it. Bare heads. That's a thing that I've been noticing around.
And across the street we have Tiffany, and next to it we have the other. It's not a Trump tenant, but we have Louis Vuitton.
They're wishing happy birthday to Louis Vuitton. You know what? I
Or to
missed,
Barack.
Right. Yesterday was also David Hawkins' birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, David!
I totally forgot on Friday. So happy birthday, and maybe people want to go visit David Hawkins' sponsorship page on subscribestar.com/reverse-CSI.
Now, I could be totally off here, so I'll admit that, but the whole idea of fake anything, I don't like costume jewelry, I don't like fake anything, basically. But the last thing I want is to go to, if you force me to go to a large birthday party at Martha's Vineyard, which would take a hell of a lot of forcing, and I show up there and I'm served Beyond Meat.
Beyond filet mignon?
Right. And apparently they had a massive problem at the end of the thing where they didn't think through the parking and there weren't enough cabs. And Fox in the title of the thing that's up on Rantingly is something like the guests leave early because of the traffic shit show. They don't say shit spelled out, but it's basically... so the last thing I would want to eat is, as I say, fake anything. I know Michelle Obama is apparently either on the advisory board of Beyond Meat, or I don't know about vegan, but she's on, I think, some connection to the company that makes Beyond Meat.
I think she herself is Beyond Meat.
Right. But I mean, her various forays into national standards for anything. I remember when he was president, and they built that vegetable garden in the White House, on the White House grounds. And then they had these new food standards for public school lunches. And I'm actually very sympathetic to the idea that in public school, I frankly would cut teacher salaries and increase the food budget. Because sadly, a lot of kids, particularly kids of single parents, show up not having had a decent dinner, no breakfast,
no proper nutrition,
and no sense of exactly what's good to eat and what isn't good to eat.
We don't want to cut the teachers' salaries.
I do.
There's more money there for.
No, I definitely want to do that.
Not Michael Caine and all those teachers, New York Teachers for Choice.
The issue, I think, in the public school system, same as in the government writ large, is that there are too many people on payroll and on retirement pay claiming that they care about the children and their education, when in fact that's the last thing many of them care about. There are noble teachers like my mother, when she taught in the public school system in the rough part of East Harlem for 25 years. She cared deeply and took our money out of my mouth, basically, into my brother's mouths, to help many kids who were in deep trouble. And I thought it was great that she did that, and I still think it's great. But the number of, it's kind of like when you see a fire here in New York City, or you see a traffic accident, a minor thing, and you'll see 10 fire engines and 4 ambulances and a whole bunch of other stuff. sort of the same problem I think exists in the New York City public school system and in other school systems where that ass clown Randy Weingarten
Yeah.
is in charge of making everything more expensive and and more ineffective than it should be. So here we are on, what is it,
8th or 9th?
9th Street, I guess. The Apple Store is over there.
Well, but just on the teachers still for a minute, Charles, there was an issue with the New York Teachers for Choice. NBC News had contacted Michael Caine and me. They were doing some kind of report on the New York Teachers for Choice, and they were contemplating using some footage of mine, and I spoke to one of their producers or whatever he was, and I guess they decided not to use it, but they came out with the piece, and Michael Caine was determined that it was a chop job hit piece.
On him?
Yeah, to make him look foolish, which I said that to NBC, that that's what I anticipated that they would do. I would license footage to them if they wanted it, but they were asking me questions, and
They probably will use it.
well, they had called me about purchasing a license, or at least that's what I thought the call was about,
Yeah.
and they didn't purchase it. If they just use it, then the question becomes, why are they paying $35,000 to use footage that John Sullivan obtained illegally and just taking and using my footage?
Because you're
I don't think they used it,
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see.
but who knows?
There's the famous Metropolitan Club.
Hey, what about the Portable Strand bookstore? Let's show people that, because I know
Yeah.
you like the Strand. What's the deal with this little annex?
It's been here for a long time. Look at this guy. He's on his phone, driving, listening to music, doesn't give a shit about the lights, the people. You're just going to get out of my way.
You can smell the horses
That's where Joe Biden is.
in the horse stable.
All malarkey.
Yeah, that was really weird to me. Oh, the Strand annex is closed.
It certainly looks like it could be repainted.
Yeah, it's not really.
It's where Hunter lives.
Yeah.
He lives underneath there.
Well, what would you like to do, Charles? Should we go into the park?
Yeah, I think we'll go in for a little bit.
So
I
it's
can.
sort of threatening rain. It's not exactly.
It's pleasant. Pleasant to get out. So I have a bit of news about the Clinton Foundation. I think we should talk about this. That I think Tucker on his show Thursday night from this pretentious friend of mine refers to the city Budapest, but in Hungary.
I have a friend who does that too.
Yeah, you call it. People
He's
like
been there.
Well, they call every country, place in the world by its name. So I went to Paris, not to Paris or whatever. But anyway, so Tucker, I've never been on his show, but I've been on other Fox shows, and typically the way it works is they don't slam them together precisely at the last minute. They have an anchor, guest or two.
Pre-recorded the interviews that he brings up during the show, right?
Some are and some aren't. Like when I was never pre-recorded on Janine, for example. I was always live with her late at night. And so it's a little bit unusual to go all the way to Hungary in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
And have an extended set of interviews with Viktor Orban where you fly around Hungary, which I thought was very good. And then in the middle of it to slap in a brief interview with Miranda Devine, who's a Fox News contributor. I think she's Australian, New York Post journalist, and in addition, she contributes to, I think, the Daily Telegraph, which is not part of the Fox empire. So they have her on, and the gist of it is Tucker out of the blue saying, why is it that the Clinton Foundation, we want to go back to that Clinton Foundation, why was it that their contributions, he used the number, were 130 million per year, 2014, 15, and 16, but then they dropped to 22 million. Now,
Right.
I think his numbers are slightly off, but
Probably it was 33 million.
but the trend is correct. And why, when she was Secretary of State, would they take all kinds of contributions from foreign governments and have such high levels of revenue, and then once she had her political career blown to smithereens, why would it drop?
It's such a dumb question, but okay. Obvious.
You know, I know, but he was, as they say in Ireland,
Yeah.
Ireland, taking the mickey out of the audience. But so,
Winter is in.
I'm thinking of who was that guy in American? Was it American Idol?
Oh, which one?
The Asian guy,
William Hung?
William Hung. Yeah, is he related to that guy?
That guy's a little better than William Hung.
She bang.
So Tucker's talking
So,
all about.
yeah, and Miranda goes on and says, well, actually, she more or less flat out says that she expects that the Clinton Foundation, what?
Charles, we've got no time for nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Clinton Foundation.
Is that Joe Biden?
That's Joe Biden. No time for nuts.
That's right. The Clinton. She says the Clinton Foundation is likely to be back on the front pages again.
Miranda Devine said that.
Yes, on this interview, and reminds people that John Durham was specifically tasked to go back and look and see why was the Clinton Foundation investigated by the FBI? Why didn't it find anything? And she speculates on air on Thursday night, our time, that actually Durham has likely found something, and expect to see whatever he's found on the front pages of many newspapers. So
Sounds good, and I hope she's right, but I am skeptical. Before we get into my skepticism, we should remind people that we're back in the zoo here, Charles.
it's amazing. There are a lot of animals.
Well, there used to be a polar bear here that I believe died.
Of COVID?
Well, no, I think it died of. It was pissed off. That was quite obvious. It would just swim around and around and around this little island, and I think it just died of being bored as hell.
It's like, it's freaking hot here. I'm used to like,
Right, polar bears don't belong in New York City, and this one was like lonely and hanging out. Oh, wait, look at all these people. That's the polar bear's old area.
I think there could well be a new polar bear.
Let's take a look and see what's going on.
In opposite world, what's really going on here is the animals set the zoo up to watch us.
I could believe it. Let's just see what is in there.
There could be
sorry.
seals.
Do you know what everybody was applauding a moment
Yeah,
ago?
they're seals, you see?
Barry Seal?
U.S. seals.
Navy SEALs?
Yeah,
Cool.
baby seals. And squirrels. Actually, I was down in Washington Square Park, as I usually am, the other morning, and I thought I was seeing birds scampering, and I looked down and it's rats.
Oh,
So just we could talk this through while we're watching for the seals. There's one over there. But on the one hand, we have the hopeful tack that Tucker was taking, and then a story linked today in Rantingly that Merrick Garland is doing his best, the Attorney General, to try to squelch whatever it is that Durham might be doing.
What?
Yeah. Well, he's a disaster.
what the
Merrick.
hell is that about?
Well, he's the Attorney General enforcer. I mean, he's an absolute.
So his job is to stop an investigation?
Sure.
Oh,
Especially if it would get, if you follow the Clinton Foundation investigation to its core, you uncover an actual conspiracy, which you can see hiding in plain sight in detail, wherein the Bush family, HW&W, and the Clinton family, working with world leaders, ushered in this era of unregulated globalism, where their sponsors became almost trillionaires, and they made, depending on the family, 100, 200 million each. You know, that's basically what's been going on since about 1988. And what I've been working on now is to anticipate whatever might come out of Durham in the form of, I hope, indictments, but if not indictments, at the very least, I hope a report. And I think I'll be in a position, based on publicly available information alone, to be able to tell people, you know, this report is an F or it's an A+, based on whether they cover a bunch of topics that I'm going to identify. And these are obvious topics. So if you go back into history a little bit and you think about the period February 15th, 2001 to early 2005, this is a period when Al Gore's internets, though they had been invented, I used to have a lot of fun in this.
What is this?
It's children's zoo
Why do they? But this
for
is
smaller kids.
But I'm saying, there's something happening here.
You
Like
just walk.
rabbits.
No, you just walk around and you look at there's statues and there's animals and there's different places.
This wire here. This has got to be doing something.
I don't know.
It's keeping probably hawks from eating the bird. Keeps the rabbits from getting eaten.
Oh yeah, there's some rabbits right there.
This is probably keeping out hawks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You got hawks on your mind, David
Hey, look at this.
Hawkins. Yeah.
The NYU Tisch Children's Zoo. Sorry. So you'll be in a good position to tell us
Right.
if Durham's report is for real, but when the hell are we going to see it?
I don't know. I don't work for them. But they.
When I first joined
What is this?
what was that called? The Young People Choir.
Oh God.
Me,
You want a ice cream?
Wow, interesting acoustics in this tunnel.
All of us, the wild would be bland.
So Miranda Devine is teasing it.
Right, and
Tucker is teasing it. It should be close if that's the case.
right. So if we go into the period 2001 to 5, when our vaunted FBI spent about 4 years examining the Clinton Foundation, it didn't manage to spot the fact that it hadn't been organized. It was operating unlawfully. It had solicited illegally across state lines in multiple states. It hadn't accounted for its books. It never got, and records properly, it never got authorized to do international work. And Bill, it would have been a simple matter for the FBI and the Secret Service, and for that matter, Treasury, to go and say, all right, let's examine every place that Bill Clinton travels from January 20th, 2001 through the course of this investigation. And in each case, let's look at the email and other traffic arranging speech payments.
Right.
Why did he get these speech payments? Were they at arm's length or not? Did Bill, when he started working on behalf of foreign governments, did
Register with FARA.
did he register with FARA? How much money did the Clintons personally derive while she was the senator, then Secretary of
Right.
State? All of this would be trivial to do.
enormous.
Be trivial to do. And how much money that had been raised ostensibly to finance the presidential library instead was used to pay for private aircraft and fancy hotel living
Right.
and other things that are far outside the charter of the Clinton Foundation. Moreover, why was Bill Clinton pushing the costs of a very expensive set of offices in New York onto the Clinton Foundation? Clinton Foundation
Why
had
not put it in Arkansas?
well, the Clinton Foundation had no specific authority to have an office outside a park in Little Rock. It's that simple. We want to.
What is this statue of? Have we looked at this before?
We have actually. Sled dogs.
Sled dogs, right. Endurance, fidelity, and intelligence. Balto.
Yeah, we actually did stand in here, I think in the March, April timeframe 2020, when it was colder.
I'm a little worried about walking through so many of these tunnels. We have one dot of
right,
signal here
so we
that
can-
could be hurting our
Well, do you want to go
reception.
back
Let's
to
go
5th and down?
This way, yeah.
So I don't want to go too far north.
Well, wherever you want to go.
I was going to circle back to that way.
So which way do you want to do that?
Well, we could just go down 6th Avenue or go down Madison. If you want. Why don't we go down Madison?
Yeah.
So the first thing is they had no right to do international. The second thing is no right for a New York office. The third thing is that in 99 and 2000, what was Bill Clinton very much involved with? It had nothing to do with the Clinton Foundation.
The Senate?
Getting Hillary elected.
Yeah.
And the cost of Hillary's campaign was on the order of $30 million, counting the primary and the general together. In 99 and 2000, the Clinton Foundation in total raised about $10 million.
So where'd they get the money for the
Well,
30?
Well, or put differently, did donors to the political campaign write checks to the foundation that were then passed to the campaign? And
So you get a tax deduction for donating to a campaign that you normally shouldn't.
which is strictly prohibited in theory on the books. And that's an exercise, examining that is a trivial exercise because in 99 there were not many donations of $5,000 or more, and we know from reporting and from press reporting such as it exists, as well from House Oversight Committee report, we know that the Clinton Foundation was forced to give over the identities, including the check numbers and wire transfer information of people who did contribute $5,000 or more to the Clinton Foundation in '99 and 2000. So with that information, you really should have been able to figure out, if you were the crack on crack team of Mueller and Comey, you should have been able to figure out, now wait a minute, these guys are operating in New York. Hillary's representing New York as a senator. New York charity laws are strict. That's why we tagged Donald Trump.
Right.
And yet,
got him.
and there's no.
Streaming? Are you streaming?
Yeah.
On what?
Do you know the show?
Oh, cool.
Thanks.
That guy's out of his mind.
Yeah, whatever.
Why does he care if he doesn't know who we are? Hey, are you streaming?
No, we're screaming. Let's go across 67th.
Sure. Charles, perhaps they had the House Oversight Committee reviewing all this so that they could just claim the whole thing was an oversight.
Exactly.
Here,
But
what's this statue?
7th Regiment to the 1917, 1918 World War I Memorial.
Ah, so that guy there on the left might have Spanish flu.
Well, and note to the morons who claim that the January 6th insurrection was the worst example of violence involving America. This was a pretty bloody war, not to mention the Civil War.
Well, how about September 11th?
And September 11th, and how quickly we forget. So back though on the Clinton Foundation, in New York, Comey and Mueller, we understand, are crooked and corrupt, so they missed this. But Durham is either going to prove he's not corrupt or prove he is corrupt, because the Clinton Foundation did not register to operate in New York with the Secretary of State until 2009. Yet Bill began soliciting, by his own admission in his books, I've been checking this, and many press releases, he was soliciting and received grants from governments that are not disclosed year by year by year, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that all told run close to $1 billion for a whole bunch of unregistered names, like the Clinton Foundation HIV/AIDS Initiative, and you name it.
The William J. Clinton.
Oh yeah, all sorts of names that are not registered, that had to be registered. And these offenses are much larger, occurred at a time when Bill was married to a senator and then the Secretary of State, and Bill didn't have to post a $250 million bond.
Oh yeah, right. Trump's guy. What's his name?
Tom
What is that?
Barrack.
Right.
And so I posted that out.
Yeah, it's.
And again, if you're going to say to the world, look, with charity laws, we put them on the books and they don't fucking matter, right? We just do this for window dressing, okay? You want to lower your taxes? Invent a fake charity. Say you gave it a lot of money. Nobody's going to check.
Well, I think everybody took that advice. There seems to be quite a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, if you want to do that, and you then want to accept the consequences of doing that, and one of the consequences of doing that is that this country will be like Zimbabwe. Nobody will want to buy a dollar. Nobody will believe in the government.
This is not Zimbabwe.
It's an expensive way.
Is this like Beekman Place or something?
No, the Beekman Place is all the way over on the east side. This is these are just in the Roaring '20s time frame. These were the mansions, I think, if not even earlier, of the super elite rich. And I've been inside a few of them, and they're very, very nice. But you can't really operate one of these unless you have a shitload of money.
Right.
And a lot of servants, because there are no grocery stores.
Well, the taxes on something like
They're
this.
not that high, actually.
What? Why not?
Because in typical form, there's a backroom deal here in the city that the taxes on single-family homes are low.
Huh.
And they make up for it by taxing businesses really high.
Well, what about apartments?
It can be low.
I'm not aware of that.
Well, in your case, are they high?
Feels high to me.
Well, maintenance is too high.
Rent's too high.
But there's a lot of things. Everything's out.
Should
basically.
we ask this guy how he likes Super Cruise?
No,
I don't think that's the
I don't think so.
Sure.
But here you see, this is the consequence. New York City's back, except for the fact that they're... What?
Oh, damn it. AT&T is saying I'm almost out of data. Well, that's okay. We're going to keep going. I think there's enough data.
But look at all these business for rent signs here. I mean, this is
Wow.
prime country. My youngest brother had an apartment right up the street here. He's an expert on real estate, and he picked it because he liked the shops, he liked the
Everything out of
restaurants.
business,
It's all out of business. But DeCrazio and Topo Gigio, say that
Gropo Gigio.
Gropo Gigio says that everything's cool.
Nice car, Charles.
I don't know anybody who has one of them.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
so
what's
back.
going to happen with Cuomo? I don't mean to
Well,
take
I
it
just
off
wanna-
going back to Clinton. Let's do that, and then we'll talk Cuomo.
Right. So with the
There's
Clintons.
another chess store out of business.
So if Durham indeed is doing an investigation of what happened starting in January 2016, when Horowitz has admitted in writing that they did investigate, or the FBI opened at least 2 investigations into the Clinton Foundation.
Didn't they drop a new item 43 on Hillary on Friday?
What's an item 43?
The FBI vault had...
Oh, yeah, item 43. It was very short. It was like 8 or 10 pages, and it was interesting in that it covered a period October 2010. We'll get back to that in a second, if I may. 'Cause now I'm losing my train of thought again. Anyway, if I'm Durham and I've been given the task specifically to go back over and see what did the FBI do, then I have to go. I would argue, I certainly have to look at the 2016 to whenever investigation to understand why did it take so long. And Bill O'Reilly, when he was at the top of his game in 2015 in April, he called aggressively on his show on the 8 o'clock hour on Fox for the FBI to open up an investigation of the Clinton Foundation. I'm not saying he did it because of my article, but my article came out March 16th, 2015.
I think he did.
Maybe, yeah, I was in. It
That's
was.
totally out of business across the street.
What is?
Everything.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, that article that I wrote was in Breitbart, but Fox picked it up, and it really got. I'm not bragging or anything, but it just got an enormous following on Facebook, and over 10,000 comments on the. I think on Breitbart, I think it got over 10,000 comments, which is a hell of a lot of comments for a technical piece, because it went into a lot of accounting, as our friend Fabienne likes to say, minutiae, which really minutia, but it went into a lot of very technical accounting stuff and tax stuff, and nonetheless it had all these comments. O'Reilly then calls for an investigation, and I relentlessly pound with multiple different people, you got to do this, you got to do that, da da da, and we see what happens with enemies of the Obama administration, enemies of
Taken out immediately.
Somebody says there ought to be an FBI investigation, and stormtroopers show up at Roger Stone's house, right?
Bust in the door.
So I'm starting in March 2016. My long piece on my website goes up April 20th, 2015, which is right around the time that O'Reilly started pounding the table, and then. It takes them until January 2016 to open up an investigation. Now, why did it take so long? I mean, I did many pieces, as did some mainstream, Thompson, Reuters, and others, even the Times.
What happened to O'Reilly?
He's on the beach in lives in Montauk.
Didn't really go anywhere. He was involved with Maury Terry in the Son of Sam investigation on Inside Edition or something like that back in the day.
Interesting. Well, so I said you got to restate the financial statements, and pounded the table on that. They said no, and then they restated on the basis of lies that are still on their website. They hire some hack former IRS person or Treasury person to say, I'm telling you, you don't have to refile.
Didn't they also say something directly to you, where you were going to be on CNN, and then they said, "Oh no, we've told Charles Ortel."
That's in June of 2016. But
that was a blatant lie.
Oh, I know. But in November of 2015, what they do, I don't know if you've had this specific experience, but if you want to try to intimidate somebody publicly, and you're a crook, what you do is you hire a crooked, you say that you've hired a crooked law firm. In the case of, it's the one that Comey's brother works at. What's that one? Maryland firm? Name,
Marvel something?
No, name will come to me. But they say, Kathy Keneally of this firm has the advice of this person of this firm can be characterized as follows. That's not a legal letter. The legal letter's on the stationery of the law firm.
Right.
If it's a really contentious issue, a lot of eyes look at it and make sure that they agree.
Right.
And then it goes out there and it has a certain weight.
And it's based on some legal theory.
But when you say something can be, you're in the school of there is no relationship. When you're talking about a relationship that ended 3 or 5 years ago, yeah, there is today no relationship. That's not the issue, douchebag. The issue is what was going on when you were president of the United States with this intern.
Right. This is where he starts to question what is.
Exactly. And he wasn't having sexual relations with her, but she was having it with him, or vice versa. I mean,
was that what his explanation
more or less,
was intended
yeah.
to mean?
Who
He
knows?
was just sitting there.
Who knows? But by the time
all the stuff.
it's kind of like going back into Cuomo. It's like when you've decided stubbornly that you've lost, but you're not going to give up, that you really want to dig your own grave.
Right.
That's when you start making arguments like that Bill was making, and that Cuomo today is making.
Well, what is he saying? I haven't heard too much response from him.
And not much. He was at a pool the other day, just hanging
Yeah.
around. The teddy bear.
Oh yeah, this place has had these bears out here since it all started. They were wearing masks at one point.
Yeah.
Nello.
Would
Yeah.
you like whole wheat pasta, or do you want?
Well, I think the idea is to make it seem maybe like there's more people than there are.
So it's a fake. It's actually a good restaurant, Nello.
I've never been
Oh,
there.
it's very good.
So Cuomo, one thing I thought that Rudy Giuliani brought up that was quite interesting. Everybody knows I really don't like Andrew Cuomo at all. But Rudy Giuliani raised a good point that Letitia James, by having this whole press conference and not prosecuting him, she's basically just airing allegations without giving him an opportunity to confront his accusers or
Right.
defend himself. And it's really not the way due process or the law in the United States are intended to work. It's remarkable how much stuff is out of business up here.
Well, that's sort of the same deal as with Jim Comey and Hillary Clinton. You go
Right.
on this jag of Hillary Clinton has or has not been exonerated. And that's just not, it's an irrelevant issue. You're innocent in this country until proven guilty
Right.
to the standard that's applicable. It's not, you have to be exonerated by the government.
Well, you're also not supposed to have big press conferences and where you air allegations.
Right. Right.
But they did that.
Yeah.
So what's up? I mean, is that an indication that nothing's going to happen to Cuomo, or?
I think he's done. I think politically he's done. But I just want to hammer home the Clinton Foundation, if I may stay on that. So with Durham, he has the ability, should he choose to exercise it, I think, to demand the full file. Now you'll see
What a full file? What are you talking about?
the full FBI files in relation to whatever we.
Redacted?
Like,
All right, I think we're going to be back now, Charles.
good. We might get slammed again on 57th and 5th, but whatever. So I think what I was saying is that Durham does really have the ability to go and demand to see more of the file than you and I can see. And we know from the fact that I don't know if they're actually strictly speaking Bates numbers, but they're numerical numbers on the pages. We know that the number of pages in, for example, the Hillary Clinton email 43-part thing is many, many thousands of pages more than we've seen so far. So he has the ability to look at those. There's
What do you think of this?
Wonder how much higher this thing is going to go. Because
Well,
Trump
what
is
is
next door. It's Tiffany. Trump
They're
is,
expanding it?
yeah, they're modernizing it. But Trump is next door, so he's not going to be terribly happy if they make it taller. So,
So Durham can go in there and look at everything.
well, he can look at a lot, and as one of our friends who should remain nameless often says, the dog that didn't bark, the information that isn't there that should be there,
Right.
can end up being extremely damaging. For example, I only noticed yesterday morning in 98, 99, and 2000, the Clinton Foundation spent a total of around $10,000 on telephone, but listed no telephone number in their 990, which you're supposed to do. How do you operate a foundation raising money with no telephone, paltry amount of postage? How do you do a direct mail campaign with no cost for a mail?
It seems like you can't.
Right? And so when you start looking at what they did file,
Right.
and then ask yourself, maybe we go across those.
Yeah. So you're saying that if you really go through it with a fine-tooth comb, you're going to start finding the problems.
Well, and you're going to be able, as Durham, to say, I see this now, how come Comey and Mueller didn't see it then?
Right.
And same is true, for example, with the whatever papers exist on the investigation that many reporters, Cheryl Atkinson, Jeff Gerth, and others, have all confirmed, and now Horowitz has confirmed, the Inspector General for the Justice Department, that there were indeed at least 2 FBI investigations involving 4 field offices that had started in 2016, and the scuttlebutt is that the FBI and its agents really wanted to go into places, but Loretta Lynch, not, of course, because Bill Clinton threatened Arizona in June of 2016. Nah, that couldn't be why she did it. But the Department of Justice said, investigate as much as you want. We're not going to prosecute this.
What the hell is that about?
Well,
How can they determine they're not going to prosecute something before an investigation is done? They don't know if there's criminal activity or not.
Because it goes right up the food chain. I think, and I know, I'm not going to reveal the names, but I know several prominent politicians who have given me their personal email addresses. And and I don't use them. But, and I've got to believe back in Bill Clinton, I'm the king of the world, and you guys could give me trouble about a sex thing, and it's not really serious. I was changing America for the better, restoring the balance in the planet, preparing for the alien invasion. You go on, whatever he said he was doing. And so therefore, he had probably his handlers get fake email addresses that were used to communicate the stuff that's really, really incriminating. Either by...
all this stuff is out of business.
Nobu, wow.
Nobu got millions apparently from PPE or whatever.
Right.
And Robert De Niro owns it, and that's the only business on this whole block that remains open.
Except, thankfully, nobody's there. But, so going back to 2001, I don't know how much you used email in 2001. I used it, but it was very slow in 2001. And certainly your ability to watch movies and look at images wasn't there. But as that changed, I just simply don't believe that Bill Clinton and his team didn't have multiple ways of communicating anonymously, either by sending and receiving email, or more deviously by letting somebody know the password for one of these alias accounts, and then allowing that communicating with that person through the draft folder.
Yeah, that's well known.
Right. So that's the kind of stuff that has to be investigated. And if Durham does not do that, and does not force the Clinton Foundation to pay for its sins, then we know that they've gotten to Durham. And we know if that does happen, I think know that it's definitely time to think about living somewhere else, or stopping the mere talking and getting a lot more serious about supporting candidates who will fight hard and win, not fight ineffectively or yap ineffectively and lose in 2022 and 2024. Again, when I say fight, I mean peacefully.
Right. Politically, legally.
Right. So one other thing I want to just blurt it out, because one of our most loyal supporters asked me about it, and I said, would I cover it? And then we'll get back to Gropo and other things. GE was in the news last week for doing what's called a reverse stock split. Now that's where your stock price has gotten low, and you shrink the number of shares outstanding in the hopes of keeping it high. Now that fools nobody.
So if I own 10 shares of GE and they do that, what happens? I now have 5 and each one is worth twice as much?
If they did it that way, 8 shares gets you 8 old shares get you 1 new share. So the shares we're trading at 13, 8 13s is 104. So your stock in theory is still worth 104 in aggregate, but instead of having 8 shares, now you've got 1. Now, why would you do that?
Sounds like a deception.
One reason you do that is if you're very concerned that bad news is coming and your shares are going to go below $5 a share.
Oh, right.
Which is an issue for institutions. It used to be, I haven't checked the regulations recently, but it used to be that if you're a big institution, you cannot own a lot of stock in companies whose share prices are $5 or less than $5 per share. So perhaps these boneheads at GE were worried that
You've always said 6 was some sort of a thing, right?
2 is actually what I think I've always
Or
said.
it was going to 6. It never went below 6, did it?
6, yeah, it got to 5 and change, I think, but it's what I've said is that a senior partner at Dillon Reed told me, and the first time I heard it, I was laughing hysterically. All bankrupt stocks trade at $2 a share. That was his rule. I said, I won't say his full name. I said, George, why is that? He said, just because that's the way it is, man. Okay, so I've always remembered that.
Because that's the way it is.
Well, when shares go down, shares that once were in the case of GE 60 in I think May of 2000. When you have a company that's been around as long as GE's been around, it used to have a very large and loyal base of retail shareholders and retirees. There's always some knucklehead with too much money and not enough common sense who will ignore the finance, ignore the substance, and say, GE used to be 60, now it's 6.
It'll go back.
It'll go back, And oftentimes...
That's how I trade Bitcoin.
Well,
Can't go down, Charles.
Okay. I did not call you a knucklehead.
No,
But in the case of GE, honestly, there's so much hair on this.
Well, I mean, I just restarted it. Hopefully it will... See, because it sometimes gets into this mode where it just keeps cutting and I have to do a radical
You tell me what you want to do. I'm
No,
open.
I think it's back. I think I reset it, luckily. We're still going here.
All right.
I wonder what effect that has on our other platforms like Odyssey. Let's see if Odyssey is still going.
So
Anybody?
just back for a second though on GE while you're looking. What?
Less than 250 megabytes, we can still go, but it's...
You can stop.
No, it's still going. All right, it looks like Odyssey is still going, odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth, and we have 250 megabytes until AT&T gets pissed off, so we'll keep going until that happens.
Well, you tell me. You stand top of whatever you want us to stop.
Keep going.
Whole bunch of cops up here. I think so the notion that you're going to buy shares in a company like GE that's got remnant troubled financial businesses and much smaller, it's sold a lot of its crown jewels, it has to have at this point management that's completely demoralized. This is probably concerning. Well, they're getting ready. They're too embarrassed to stand in front of Weed World, the truck there. So
I guess they're getting ready for the Jamaica Day Parade.
the Jamaican bobsled.
I'm not really too familiar with the Jamaica Day Parade.
Me either.
I didn't even know there was a Jamaica Day.
We've got another topic for a Biden poster.
What's that?
Jerk chicken.
Yeah,
That's what he is.
jerk off the grill.
He's a jerk chicken.
So while we still have 250 megabytes of data on this chip, Charles,
Sure.
Cuomo.
Yeah, I think if you put your partisan political hat on,
That cop's got 2 phones, so you can get all the texting done. Yeah, the guy is right there. I saw him on Instagram. That cop is on Instagram. Sorry, Cuomo.
yeah, Cuomo is a gift now. If we can find somebody who not necessarily Republican, an independent, a candidate who is going to enforce the laws that are on the books, is going to pay attention to getting the hooligans off the streets, punishing them, bringing the criminals to justice.
Wait, Cuomo's going to do this?
Saying if we could find somebody who will campaign on this, then for as long as Cuomo tries to fight the inevitable, he's actually helping those who would like to replace him. And we're going to have
Isn't
to.
that Letitia James?
Well, I don't know about Letitia James being tough on crime.
No, but I'm saying she seems to want to run for governor.
Yeah,
And if she does it on the basis of having skewered Cuomo, I think a lot of people will go for that.
I think you're right. And New York City and state are fundamentally at this point gone to the Democrat / maybe even the progressive wing. But Cuomo is king of the ass clowns. I mean, he really is.
Grabbing ass clowns.
Maybe, well, you think about him. Look at all those flashing lights down there, by the way. Think about the guy. He was, during the Trump presidency, every day he was out there giving his COVID briefing, and
Right.
and the morons,
And the award-winning COVID briefing.
right, and the morons were in the mainstream press were salivating over the prospects of a President Cuomo. And isn't this fantastic?
Yes.
And had to be knowing back then that Cuomo was grabbing as much as he could grab. Right?
Special little soft filter on him when he spoke at the Biden, whatever that fake campaign thing was that he gave a speech. He was in that private room all lit.
Right. And that same annoying accent that you do so well of Fauci and Scaramucci and Cuomo and all these guys. I mean, Cuomo is a repugnant thug and piece of garbage. I mean, he is nobody takes him seriously anymore. And if you try to go out there and pretend that he is now a sympathetic character who deserves a shot politically, I'm not talking about legally. Legally, he deserves a shot.
Yes.
But his political viability is, as Trump was fond of saying, that's shat. Spelled S-H-A-T, and I think he means that, but he's actually saying S-H-O-T, shot.
Right.
Pronounced shat. So yeah, I don't think he's viable. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we're close to running out of data on this ship, and then
All right.
what will happen is it'll take a real long time for the
Maybe
rest
we
of the
should
show to
sign off in
upload.
front of Radio City here.
We could do that. We're here right outside Radio City, and I think it might be a good time to end it.
Do you know that Marky Post died? Cancer.
Who is that?
She was on Night Court.
Oh, wow. She, according to Larry Nichols,
Had an
was
affair with Clinton.
With Hillary Clinton. And
Hillary
then Bill wanted to watch, and that's when Hillary threw the ashtray at him, according to Larry Nichols. That she was in the White House getting down with Hillary. And she died? She couldn't have been that old.
70.
What'd she die of?
Cancer.
Wow.
I'm just reading it off the Fox crawler there.
Ah.
Also, I think Cool of Cool and the Gang died.
No way. He goes to my friend's restaurant in New Jersey.
I may have the wrong one of the people in Cool and the Gang died.
Well,
With that, Jason?
Yeah, with that, Charles, we're gonna call it a day. I do want to remind people to visit the sponsor pages, check out the sponsor exclusive content. That guy just took a picture of me. Maybe the cops. People can go to subscribestar.com/crowdsource.
Where's that music coming?
Patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, and you can check out our First Amendment
What's
forum
this?
from Wednesday. That seems to be the parade.
No. This silver tube.
That's to bring air conditioning to the rear of the car. I guess the guy's driving Lyft or Uber.
Where is that music coming from?
Down the street there, that's the parade, no?
I don't know, you might want to get out of the...
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, so that's it for us for now.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you see the balloons in the air?
I do. So I guess people might want to see the Jamaica Day parade. Those guys.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
should
well,
probably end it. So you
Yeah,
don't-
we're going to end it right here. Whoop. Very good. All right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, Sunday with Charles is not a sponsor-exclusive show. It's just when we want to have a free-flowing conversation that's not censored by big tech social media. We can't do that without the support of viewer sponsors. So thanks to everybody who's been doing that.